sawoche konkoya natural samaba na sawoche konkoya natural samaba na sawoche konkoya natural samaba
asam de biaba because enra minority leader Dr. Kasela to force what share Kenoforia tenim say to say me sure when him sabre what share nanim catcher and say banks maku do so babegu all because of debt exchange programming Kenoforia nya kwenya e de na asem atwato e baye when timi ammo sa asem no so anje eye Dr. Kasela to force na chinye say the oka no enye no kre yes obi anje na chini Kesela to force minority leader Mami Sisubio was 17 banks and a barber collapse as a result of debt exchange programming. Yes. Sabra Yeka say individual bondholders. Womo edimrike court. Why? Because a brasso say investment omaye wa buying bonds mono and as a bosia omaba buying no a buying say wobetua moka wabro manfo monsa ankosa krata afoforo no ebre no so obetua no wantua etoma default it no wonder say Fitch asandangredi Ghana wo mo court because of that when nyina nkoda akire no hede esi nra wo Ghana mrasebedwafie Deputy Finance Minister Honorable Abena Osei Asare sorry ye gina tenten denensa titi table so she Ghana for nyinanim catch Ghana for say sad debt exchange program domestic debt exchange program eno na bema akukodro gidie asaba o my Ghana economy mu said you sika ni etie.
It is something that we need to move to the next level. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, there are 3 outstanding revenue measures that we believe that if we should pass will also help us reach an agreement come March. So we are pleading with the House that the income tax bill, the growth and sustainability bill, as well as the excise, the amendment of the excise duty tax, and we are asking that you support us pass these 3 revenue measures as well to complement the debt exchange that we have done to help us reach an agreement with the IMF. Mr. Speaker, with this opening, we believe that we can also go ahead and engage our external borrowers and make sure they also come on board. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is something that we believe we must do to help our economy move from where we are now to a place where we all can feel comfortable, inflation rates can drop. We believe that with the successful implementation of the domestic debt exchange, it will open the opportunity for us to engage our external partners and also for them to come on board so that we can move from where we are to a place where we can help bring inflation down, bring food prices down, and the economy starts working again. Mr. Speaker, government spend billions.
Deputy Finance Minister no nasema waka no say sa domestic debt exchange program na ye hunu say individual bondholders ye de ensa kan musika pension board holders ye de ensa kan musika ye kan bank so te say ye kan ponche so muntu brika no monfo mon sanse dwumadie na ase no wo se eno na beboa ama gidie ama kokodro ama nimonyam asaba o my Ghana economy mo afei answer the yabeko ahoma no so ne Professor John Gachi Akasano tiwe honorable Isaac Adongo woye member of parliament about the show Boga Central was say finance minister Kenoforiata nienti o maka so on resign enu tiwe.
And today we are here with this boring and underwhelming statement. Mr. Speaker, we are not angry enough as a country. We are not hungry enough. This cannot happen to anybody. And yet you are wasting our money, you are taking our money, and you are here reading this boring statement to us. Mr. Speaker, this is not a joke. And you are even quoting the Bible. Which of the Bibles are you quoting? Quoting the Bible in taking our money, in making us poor, in denying the poor pensioner his money, and you still are quoting the Bible. It is the reason some of us don't go to church, because in the end, this is what we get. This is what we get. Mr. Speaker, this matter, I want to make an appeal to you to refer this matter back to the Finance Committee for proper oversight. The Bank of Ghana must come to explain to us how they allowed the banking sector to hurt itself. The pensioners must come and explain to us. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Amalgamated Trust must come to explain to us. Mr. Speaker, as we speak today, the Bank of Ghana is claiming it is going to throw $15 billion at this point. Have we approved any $15 billion? They must come and explain to us how they are getting that money. Mr. Speaker, ever since this government assumed office...
Honorable members, just focus on the statement.
Mr. Speaker, it's a statement. It is about our public debt, and it's about who gave us the money. It's the banking sector that gave us the money, and we knew, with all the rating agencies downgrading us, that it was going to crash, and the regulator was watching them until they crash. That is about DGE. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister is required by law, under the Public Financial Management Act, not to allow us to meet this problem. He is supposed every year in May, when he's presenting the fiscal strategy document to Cabinet for approval, to accompany it with the debt sustainability analysis, so that we are not caught by surprise. Is it the case that he's not been developing the annual debt sustainability report? Is it the case that he has ignored the findings in those reports? He is supposed to present fiscal risk analysis to Cabinet. Is it the case that he's not been doing it? How come we are suddenly surprised and we are losing our money? Mr. Speaker, how are we going to convince any individual to trust in the state, to give 1 penny to the state? We were taught in school, Mr. Speaker, that government debts are risk-free. Ken Oforiata and people are now saying you lie. So we should unlearn all that we learned in school, because government debt now is more riskier than lending to Adongo. It is more riskier than lending to Adongo. So how do we now go back to reconsider the thinking of finance? That when you give money to government, you can't sleep peacefully? That when you work and you take your pension lump sum and you decide to give to government and live on your coupons,
Honorable Isaac Adongo, you have a bank common, so you better to us. Many are there for betch, non so I'm not sure your fee, but then a bank common him not fee, yet to me, Aquarium. Honorable Eric Pokunso can't say Minra, a war, a yet Fidiama, what you made ye so Jabase, and also yet a bebena and Tiasiana, you have a sabre, and so because Professor John Gachin so, Shem Gombi, say a year financial advisor, resident IMF advisor, na yedena go to Bank of Ghana no. Ezinso a bit me enya wo Ghana so they say banking sector no asofa pa wo be chem ache, but before then my man achira man akwaba. Prof, good morning to you and thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me and good morning to your listeners.
And Kwame Minkah listeners say Prof no me assure say wa bra ye kwanim no or therefore ne me ye ba ni ye do fa 3 lessons book aka na what you can be. But Prof, for now let's speak in Obroni language brofi. What immediately jumps at you, I mean, as far as the picture that was painted to us yesterday is concerned on the floor of Parliament, looking at on the side of the majority, the picture that was created was as though it is the minority that is creating fear and panic and taking political advantage of the situation. And that Ghanaians should be rest assured, because the program is, as far as its intention is concerned, is to restore confidence in the economy. I mean, for you're a major player. You've been watching all these play out for some time now. What immediately jumps out to you as far as these pictures that's been painted are concerned?
Okay, thank you. Well, I think the appearance to Parliament by Finance Minister yesterday opened up a lot of issues that we have been raising that doesn't have the complement of Parliament. Yesterday, Parliament was able to raise the issue concerning the legality of the things that Finance Minister has been doing. Again, in the discussion, it wasn't very clear whether the domestic debt exchange alone is enough for the IMF program to go on, or we also needed the external debt restructuring to be added for the IMF to proceed. So that needs more clarification from Parliament yesterday. And it's also clear that the finance minister, before appearing to Parliament, was forced to announce the pensioner bondholders exemption. So, to a large extent, those are the issues, but we cannot take it one after the other.
Okay, but let's look at the announcement of the exemption of the pensioner bondholders. Are the chips beginning to fall? Is it a good news worth embracing?
Well, it's good news for the pensioners. In every country, pensioners are supposed to be protected. In fact, in Article 36 of our Constitution, reading through identifying the objective of economic management, it clearly says that the vulnerable in society are supposed to be protected by the government. So if government is now attacking their livelihood, attacking their hard-earned money that was saved over the period through bonds, then you realize that it's not a good development. It's a shame. That ought not to have happened. But the finance minister is bent on that. My understanding is that finance minister has realized that without their involvement, the 80% he's talking about, he cannot reach the 80%. So there again, the calculations that were done is not resonating with Ghanaians. We have realized that some bondholders have been converted to treasury bill holders. So all these things is what makes the calculation that the finance minister is making. As to whether they can send that calculation to IMF is another thing to watch. But I think it's a good development that finally finance minister has bowed, but it will go into record that this government has become an enemy of pensioners' income. This government has become callous to pensioners.
But how do you again, Prof, reconcile this move with what the Deputy Finance Minister Abner Asare said, and even the Finance Minister days ago also mentioned same, almost suggesting that look, they don't control the market. In a case or in a situation of a crisis, they cannot be in a position to control whatever repercussions that may occur. What does that suggest? Should that be a major worry to the pension bondholders?
Okay, there are three issues here. That is why in the capital market dealings, there is what we call issuer exemption. So when the issuer exempts a bondholder, it doesn't matter whether the market is turbulent or not. He is committed to paying the terms of the contract. At maturity, principal will be paid intact. At periodically, coupon will be paid as arranged. So that is why the pensioner bondholders were seeking for sure exemption. Now, the second issue is whether or not they sign or they don't sign. Remember, the transaction voluntary. Now, that voluntary nature does not take away the fact that Ghana government has entered into an agreement with individual bondholders, some of whom are pensioners, that I will pay you at maturity your principal, and I will pay you periodically your coupon. It is not tied to market conditions. It's not tied to market conditions.
Okay.
And mind you, majority of the individual bondholders don't even know that their bonds are trading on any market.
Wow.
It is those from whom they bought the bonds who are trading these bonds on the market.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one, the contract is still intact,
mm-hmm.
and you cannot do anything about it. These people are not the market players.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot punish them with the market conditions when they are exempted.
Interesting. Okay, let me bring in Honorable Dr. Kasiela Tofosen, Minority Leader, because you've also raised an issue with regards to how all these can be at a disadvantage for the banks. Now, for Dr. Kasiela Tofosen, as we speak, I mean, based on the conditions, the prevailing circumstances we find ourselves in, he is suggesting to us that, look, the Bank of Ghana report is suggesting that 17 banks stand collapsing as a result of the DDEP program. I'll let you respond to that and then reconcile it with what you said about the IMF advice and what that stands to do as far as the banking sector is concerned. But let's take a listen to Honorable Atofosen Wabrana. We'll make his point, in here.
Principal. Don't be surprised that by the time that they are done and dusted, we will have to engage in banking sector cleanup once again. Because, the Speaker, our banks are going to obviously collapse. The Speaker, I have cited a Bank of Ghana report that says 17 banks are at risk as a result of what is happening. What is happening is self-inflicted. One, Mr. Speaker, this government started in 2017 by engaging in unsustainable borrowings. We will not allow you to engage in burden shifting. If you want us to pass your loans, pass your taxes, cut first, show us the way. Show us the way that you are ready to share the burden with the people of Ghana before you call on us to approve your taxes. We will allow you to shift the burden to the ordinary Ghanaian. And I serve notice now. There is difference between self-exempt and issuers exemption. The rights are not the same, so don't think we don't know about this. So, Speaker, we will push for issuers exemption for our dear pensioners. We will push for issuers exemption for the ordinary bondholder. So, Speaker, because the Speaker...
They pushed, it worked. But then again, as far as the issue of the banks are concerned, I mean, for anyone who saw how a lot of banks collapsed as a result of the banking sector restructure, this should be a major cause of worry. I mean, when Honorable Atofosen talks about the likelihood of 17 banks collapsing, Prof.
Well, that report is factual. The minister himself, in his statement to the bank, indicated that they are aware that the measures they are taking will have liquidity challenges for the bank, will have capital requirement issues for the bank, and again, it will affect the soundness of the bank. So what he has said is said by the Bank of Ghana, is said by the minister himself. So it is factual. Now, here is where we have the problem. And that is why I think that this whole cleanup that we did ought to be comprehensively investigated because the things don't add up. Then, number two, they are using the same strategies in the debt assistance program. And the finance minister is saying that the debt assistance program is a major policy that we have introduced, will affect your liquidity, will affect your capital, will affect your soundness. In other words, it will make you fragile as a bank. So you are now fragile. You will need a support called liquidity support, by which the Bank of Ghana said they are establishing a 15 billion fund. So quickly the finance minister came. Okay, now if the Bank of Ghana is establishing a 15 million bank, the bank, as is done normally, will no more go to the Bank of Ghana direct to get the money if they need it. they will have to go through an amorphous creature we call GAT. So they will go to GAT before they access the money, which means they have created GAT to take the money from Bank of Ghana. Then GAT will invest it in the bank that comes. So the money that GAT will be given to the bank will become shareholding in the bank plus preference shareholding in the bank. So when you look at this, just a ploy to actually dispossess many of the banks that will come to them. Now you realize that international banks went ahead to sign, about 8 international banks went ahead to sign the debt exchange program.
That's right.
The reason is that these banks know that they will never go to Bank of Ghana for this liquidity support, for which GAT will be making investment in them, diluting the shares of shareholders. They know that if Republic Bank is facing liquidity challenge, they will fall on their mother bank in Trinidad and Tobago. And then these South Africa banks, they will fall on their mother bank in South Africa to give them liquidity support. So that's why they went ahead to sign.
Very interesting, but I mean, very interesting. But I mean, if you reconcile this with what you are also criticizing, I mean, I'm talking about the appointment of the IMF resident advisor.
No, I will come to that.
Yes, please.
So the domestic bank delayed before signing. And in fact, it's not even clear whether the board of directors have signed to that and the shareholders have approved. It's not even clear to anybody because that is the proper corporate governance structure. Now, if you expected the bank before they sign, they should meet their directors to sign and they should meet their shareholders to approve. Why won't you engage in this great and important policy? Don't go to Parliament to seek approval from Parliament. Under Article 181, under Section 55 FPC of the Public Financial Management Act. So these are the issues for which I think all these things happening. They have a deeper implication for all of us, for which it should be earmarked for deeper and comprehensive investigation. That is what it is looking like. Now, let me come back to
and even before you come to that, the point that I was trying to raise was that, look, listening to Honorable John Jinapo, it appears even those in the minority seem to have some level of confidence in Leonard Chumo, the financial resident advisor from the IMF, who's been appointed to go to the Bank of Ghana. In your argument,
I'm taking it one after the other.
Yes.
Now the next thing is general mistrust. So that even when the finance minister had indicated that he wrote to the leaders of the individual, pensioner bondholders, they are still not trusting the finance minister because this finance minister is known to have shifted the goalposts around the debt exchange program so many times. Those that he and the president openly said that they are not included, finally are included. So when the finance minister tells you, I have written to you that this is what I will do, who knows that tomorrow they will just say just a statement of the time.
Okay.
So that is why it is important that all these issues should be brought to Parliament, for Parliament to have a legal instrument to say that these people are exempted.
Okay.
So it is a mistrust that is causing all these things. If not so, after the finance minister has spoken, that should be the end. People should go and rest. But they are not trusting him.
And that should be an indictment on government, huh?
Of course, yes, but I don't know whether the government feels any embarrassment about some of these things.
Interesting.
Because, you see, without having any grudge against anybody. If somebody cannot cause all this mess, forget about COVID-19, forget about Russia. Somebody cannot cause this mess, and the person is the one at the forefront of debt testing program. It doesn't encourage goodwill, doesn't encourage, trust. So if you do that, you create much more problem for the country.
Okay.
Now, resident advisor. I must say that those countries who are members of IMF is of a right to request from IMF to provide you with technical advisors if you so need them to help you. And this is not the first time Bank of Ghana has a technical advice. To recall that the IMF, in their first statement when they came to Ghana, they were leaving. They indicated that the institutions that their medicine will be targeted for the economy. They mentioned the fiscal authorities, and they mentioned categorically the finance ministry. So I consider this not to be the usual demand from IMF. I consider it to be a demand that will cure a huge problem that they themselves cannot cure. Number one, we know the numbers have shown that there is fiscal dominance in the Bank of Ghana. The essence of the fiscal dominance is that the Bank of Ghana has excessively lent money to the government of Ghana against the relevant law. And the finance minister is not denying that, whether you call it overdraft or you call it long-term loan, a loan is a loan. So long as you return that money, it's a loan. And the law says 5% of previous year's revenue.
Yeah.
And you have excessively gone ahead. That contributed to inflation, and that contributed to high interest rates in the country. So that is one of the jobs of this guy. And again, my understanding is that this advisor, since he's advisor over supervisory activities and corporate governance, and then one of the jobs is to ensure the implementation of Basel II and Basel III. Remember, Bank of Ghana have been implementing Basel II, Basel III already. So when this person comes, what is it coming to do? It's coming to restore confidence. It's coming to look at the books and implement the international financial reporting standards to the letter. And this will pressure on the banks. They already vital in terms of their reporting.
Okay.
So what happened to the 5 banks who have not submitted annual reports or who have not held an annual general for over 5 years? So when IMF comes in, or this person comes in and is supposed to implement every rule to the letter, what will happen to them? So that is what we are talking about. Independent bank in the Bank of Ghana is the question.
But what about those? I mean, for instance, I'm taking inspiration from Honorable John Chinapo's statement on the floor of Parliament that, look, the reason this advisor is being brought is because we're unable to, at this point, anyone who reads Ghana's economic situation, we're unable to, at this point, trust the various developments as far as the leadership of the central bank is concerned. And he is coming in, and even he went on to charge them to correct certain things. He's coming in to sort of use the magic wand and then turn things around. How do you see it from that angle?
So what I said was the effect that there are positive side of his coming and there are negative side of his coming.
Yes.
But what Honorable Jinapo was saying is very damning to the Bank of Ghana. He is saying that this gentleman should open his eyes, to open his eyes, which means the trust in the bank is a problem. The independence of the bank is a problem. the Bank of Ghana did a lot of things which the Bank of Ghana shouldn't have done. So now, as you are there, if you don't open your eyes, they will continue to be doing those things while you are there. But you are here to restore proper supervisory, function and activity, professionalism, etc. in the bank. That's why you are advisor. So, what Honorable Jinapor says is very damning to in the Bank of Ghana.
Amazing. Let's see how all these pans out. Thank you very much, Professor John Gachi, for your time this morning. Our program is Professor John Gachi, and our training can I for so Casafa, Norma Bibri, home near Coswo, Ghana, Russia, Begrafia, Fenso, a year pension bondholders. Mamemo, a year can of Reata Brano announce so say, you are free, a year debt exchange program. No, Professor John Gachi said, hey, I say, adeɛ bi ɛbɛba abɛda hɔ ɛmbra ɛbɛhyɛ aban kete sɛ ɛbɛsɛ fata sɛ obɛdi nhyehyɛ no so ɛne apam a ɔne wɔn akɔ apam ne sɛ ɛbrɛ so sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ aban di wɔn sika mɔ mu a ɛwɔ sɛ ɔde mɔ mu eti wei no abɛyɛ mmra abɛyɛ adeɛ a ɛbɛhyɛ aban no kentene ɛnea nti a na ɛwɔ sɛ ɛba ne saa ne sɛ pensioners no wɔn ni gyidie. Our Ghana ban mu omu ni gidie our kenoforiata mu omu ni gidie our mampanyin nanado mu enti na it had to take say ye frɛ kenoforiata amena ba mrahye bedwafie ne ya hye no amena gya tum say okay mate e say pension for mayim afrim. This is an indictment. Enti mommy em fa no fara za o de see nra no apa ban no hontema take kenoforiata.
In yesterday's discussion with them, I sent a letter out to their convener stating very categorically that all pension bondholders who opted not to participate in the exercise are exempted from the DDE. But Mr. Speaker, as we advise people about the future in very tough economic circumstances, I think it's our responsibility for everybody to be aware of the risk that may occur from the market. And that is why we encourage that people trade in their bonds. Clearly, we've also stated categorically that your interest, coupons, and your principal would be honored. So, Mr. Speaker, let's put it to bed here. The government at no point in time looked at an opportunity to take money from pensioners, because we made it, Mr. Speaker, voluntary. So you can't say that a voluntary exercise deems that I'm taking money from you. Then we gave an option which you were free to take, and most of them legitimately believe that they will hold their bonds to the very end. And if they are going to hold their bonds to the very end, they don't require any option, which is perfectly fine. And we assured them that, yes, your coupons will be honored, your principal will be honored.
Assurance, no, say you move free. They say when you the WhatsApp, a mom say, yes, you say you WhatsApp through. I actually cracked out to say, yeah, you my free. Now, when him or therefore, Betty, any a year pensioner CB. Atwetwe nkomo no mo ka kire no o be ka kire sisi but answer na no also me ball honorable John Jinapo edin the enti me boy ne say wo ka kire say sa ai advisor na ye de ne ko Bank of Ghana ho no te say the Professor John Gachi kan no a wo kire mu yie no say kwa ye de ne ko ho kire say wo mo mugu Bank of Ghana ho a wo mu di animu a wo bo am atutu yesika say ye di gidie bia wo mu enti na John Jinapo say hey advisor Twumo Leonard Twumo ukwa fi wani bie wani enkrata bia ombe yusu bia se wo modere sese atoto yesika sem bia fu ani di akire. And again another indictment but say Ghana problem na hana wo dey tie we
what the finance minister is doing and evaluate what number one of men's gold did. The two are synonymous and the same. The money is the same. There is no difference. Number two, Mr. Speaker, if number one had gotten this condition, his financial instrument or financial company would have existed as we speak today. That so far as government survives, government will never default. That is why when you are accounting for the capital asset pricing model, there's a risk-free rate. The risk-free rate is the rate that government gives. If you want more, that is if you want to take a risk, then you go for a premium. For the first time in the history of this country, it never happened. For the first time, government is saying that it is so broke, the economy has been so mismanaged, that they can't even honor the coupon payments on money that government took from not just ordinary individuals, but from our old mothers and fathers whose survival, whose livelihood depends on the little coupons that they get. This is a national issue where all of us ought to put our political difference aside, look straight into the Minister of Finance and tell him, the Minister, you will not touch the pensioners today, you will not touch them tomorrow. Yes! Mr. Speaker, this House, I plead with you, and I plead with leadership, that we should pass a resolution that for the first time we are putting our political difference aside. We should pass a resolution telling the Minister, I'm not interested in his resignation. If he doesn't want to resign, that is their own cup of tea. Because the problem is not just Kenuforiata. The problem is Kenuforiata, Dr. Bawumia, and Akufo-Addo. This trilogy, this three, they are the problem of Ghana. And Mr. Speaker, problems cannot solve problems. Solutions solve problems. I'm therefore calling on Parliament to pass a resolution compelling the Minister of Finance, just as he has done in paragraph 27, page 7, that all the pensioners would be exempt.
Eti, no. John Girapo, Yape Kusegu Mrax Bedwani. Was it problems to be solve problems? The bet was solve problems, Kusegu. Solutions. Na yaka Ghana problems are why Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo chief problem, followed by Nabedi Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia deputy problem, and the spirit, Ken Oforiata, or no, the spirit of the problem. Hallelujah. Amen. It is Sanko from Yansawi, according to Yape Kusegubra Sebedionino, or don't omunaya problems. Now yet to be for problem and solve a problem. But before that, therefore, Betche, ye way in ano, ye when they pensioners no edin como. Sabere no matter say, oh, you my free. No money, my city, but I could not even be din como or say already a say. The dear no catch you.
Kwame, no munim pa say sana or so for his casem so I can't room. But no more pay be a Dutch beating the kuta. Say asem we now can. Name one country or quum. Okama Ghana for you na tea. Me just say no, and one woman need us because I know panon buy ya, me no mudin common. Almost no, the omuguso, me on person the minister never casa. The minister ne casano, or cahodum crabby, one shut down can casibia, and I'm sad to me cacumo, also meba, train ma yati bibisa, but oh dear, young train my own casa and casa in ye. Now we are, and the who said, Wakayano, Sape Pepe no Pachrana. Enti abra John Kuma kasa na John Kuma si su dua se ye yi mafrim se minister kasa o kasa se ye yi mafrim. That's right. Enti owie ne kasa no ana mi speaker ka se ora Ken Oforiata what say afani no Don Kuma na kasa don kese ne so kasa do maka ni nyina no asembe na abeka afa ho ana o chirichiri mu so o di nti a wo yesa as usual Ukraine no ho a wakeka ni nyina wie ana wo so se wakase wo pensions then efrim enti sa pepepe and wakantino o musika no ebre no so a o musa beka no pepepe time dey also ombeju musika no musa beka no pepepe enti nya de a also ma o yam hihye o mu kra enti e point na me ne o ka papa bi o ka se wan fie sika ma yen na ye hu kwagya o kuyen na so obesu asaro aha do ye na mbusa se eja se de makoma atom yam enti obetum asama do ambaye ne den yetie de o ka yetie I read yet for tomorrow. Oh, what's it? Beba. Say, dear. Obetuya, yen, oh, have you cry, oh, young, you na be upe. And I say, bia. obi we giant but ye ne better fe because the ye hwehwe na wa ya mayen e two things I asema na da wo makoma so na ye wo maye muhihia asem pa ofi say o mani da so nyina en no kwame ena me no ti se me ni adwuma metima soro akọ ba akọ pa adwuma but sa papa fo we fi so wo chene se nyu mo ba bi na bebo an hefa no akọ pa adwuma en wo behwe nkura na bia o mo sa hwe enkofo anaso mo manketoa e two things na ye wo mani da so enti ye na me convener Dr. Adu ana ne ntwi enso we no so no mo hwa no mo nsaka no no mo pe adansidie be kire se minister no aka chiru ode na no aka ni nyina na ode gu enkrata so na ode gu enkrata so omni Ghana fo aka ma Ghana fo nyina ate ne de o makoma atomo yam but Kwame, the question is who say individual bondholders no omu coupons amateur ne ade omu nsankan o ba be demonstration enti no I want say Ghana man panyini ne na be de ni finance minister oma at least oma Ghana for ji omu for this time around because didie na Ghana for ni ma wo mu no e kosoro eno a me ne friends retired brigadier general Nunu Mensa ekasa o se niema ma Ghana 1958 coup buy any coup how do buy nyina sa ne ma na wo mu sisi no na Ghana for nkasa titiri nsem chirofo hufo enti nkasa
any enya questions nkwa ye bisa no said ye da but you see honorable Eric Opoku o ka asem bi wo hase wo kom rase bedwafie no wo sanso kosi su bio Ghana ni bia wotie me nei me pesa wo rem waso na wotie we titiri wa wote ba bia wo hwe ya na se wotie ye e wo trotro mutie ye e wo taxi ma wo say oh na say the pension for nkwa na ato mo we dey say individual bondholders nkwa na ato mo wo ye dwuma ye ni sa nkwankra bi na afo adwuma sa ban adwuma na wo ya me pesa wotie enchechemu bia honorable Eric Opoku ade tu dwa wa bra na one ye wa ase e wo dwamo ase nra wo sanso kosi sa asem no so wo brofo kasa mu e wo mrase bedwafe ye petwi die no de na no wo ka no ha no ye mo no nkyere amansan tie we
37 na metimi atwa ehefo na to bondi enso anso be na de ba Ghana so hana asem na nkasa ye dey ewo
nti ehefo
good obi a wo ya ba adwuma bia no usika wo bi na tie niye wo ya nkwankra adwuma a wo contribute to SNET utua sika de kwa ba mu se be ya wo ko pension ubenya ba bia didi benya ba bia da no so ka ho bi
ya ye wa hai
won so ka ho bi
private businesses
ba bia obi aka mti na mti tie niye
wow
Ghana mramu no wo ya adwuma bia no bosome so na ye tua wo ka wo ya adwuma no e wo sa wakatua ye tua ma no wadwuma wura te 5.5%.
yeah
eno de ode to ha ama ye de koka wo daache pension a wo di bedidi wuntimi nya adwuma bio na ye ntua wo ka bio no sabi wo ye nipa wo nya nwui e wo se wo didi wo won kwala ekosuku o so hwe wo mo o so nya ba bi da obetua library obetua water bill ye ti we ya to ho mra wa hoden ye adwuma ne dubra hoden no kwa retirement na wanya aduane adi wadwuma wura na ofa wo no wo wakatua wo tua no te 5.5%. Ghana mra se ono so esanse wa fa wadwuma na wo ye adwuma ma nya mfaso nti on sentua 13% of wakatua na ye de ma no enka 5.5 we ho emfa ma na so obenya 18.5%. Tibusum bia wakatua no 18.5% de eye won teto ho a ye de to ho amadachi se nyame ya adom na wunyini kodu retirement a wakoto so e de adidi emra no koso bi o se 18% we ye tia yemfa mu 13.5% emfa ma SNET
okay
na SNET emfa nya adwuma na ukọ retirement wedi 60 years 60 kona SNET so wa contribute to 15 years kono de a wa hweso no atua oka said their contribution ye busum bia otua oka kakra am onye sky dey edidi ye de 13.5 ma SNET na ka 5%. Sa 5% we any your friend tier 2 eno de me emfa ma SNET mra na say ye pe fund manager bi manager bi a wote ba bi onim fund sikasem betua dandan ma bia beka ho na ye fa 5% ne ma no na no so fa koye investment nansi honya dai emra tu ko retirement a obekọ tier 2 o fund manager no ho me 5% ya tia to me ho abedru ne no manya sei eni mi si ho was Kwame Minkah over 400 million and the old you had the bulk.
That's right.
As I know straight some call retirement me shesha any say yes we cut ya nteto ane yetete no o best 3 years ye calculation no busum bia benya 3000 na busum bia atua 3000 na we die 5% in there wo de ato ho a wo de kobobra Senate when him say 2020 Ghana ban adwumafo wo Ghana nyina sika wo say Ghana ban atua de ma Senate na ye 1.1 billion eye obia sika wo tete ye no aban antua ye wantua teacher fo a watch omo kira de na wati o makatua 5.5 sa wodi kotua Senate ama wo mo na watua 13 percent e dia soso dia 13.5 na cost Senate ho no aban antua fi say was so niska wabra watete adwuma fo niska enti teacher fo a nurse fo aban adwuma ye ni bia wo ye adwuma wakọ retirement na wakonya wo sika de adidi no Ghana aban antua Chenio, that is in Nana make a handsome no. Yes. When Tiaso Ghana Marase, so what teach my Nibia Senate? The contribution no 18.5 no. Now when Tia, not the next month no could do 14 for a free 14 no could debiano, you interest of 3% a penalty. One eye bejo near wine a bina. Well, would you just Ghana one could Tiano? Also to a penalty of 3%. Okay. In the Auditor General audit a bank in 2021 or reported to us says can I page 49. Kwame Pesa one okay. Net your phone at the Honam DBC as so. Page 49, paragraph 239.
Okay, page 49, paragraph 239. I say, where Auditor General say we noted that public sector workers' contribution to SNET amounting to 4.33 billion cedis were yet to be settled by government. We recommended that management should liaise with CAGD and Ministry of Finance on the payment plan for defraying the outstanding debt. Management explained that
Control Accountant General Department.
Okay. But also management explained that SNET already has a payment plan with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the outstanding debt is paid. Government has so far made some efforts to settle the indebtedness, and in 2020, 2 bonds totaling 1 billion Ghana cedis were received as part payment of the indebtedness.
I think I want to say also say 4.33 billion.
That's right.
My phone sika would you make 1.1 billion 1.1 billion in 2020. And a binary and a day biano, penalty 3%, penalty 3%, penalty 3%. Na year for France, the Abacan won't tria, and accumulating a could do 4.3 billion.
Yes, 4.33 billion. Wow.
At my 4, I kept 2 hours a cost net. Not net the year Juma, no young for so, now call retirement of the Triamano. Kwame Minkah the account, can I buy 5 tria?
Near to home.
And now snitch say, o piskan nyasa man for retirement wo msika nyan be dey e be den e na ban ya tie nyasa ban fa yo se be ya metumi atua no se me ton bonds eti me de kana me de no 1 billion de me de ya bond amount na bond no so a me de atua ho nsi ho na ye dey e de amount
abakade eti se na wutie na dwen se wo de wo nka ho a me de me nka ho bo a wo ka ho that's one. We all day inside. Share. Why we have 4 more? What can we be? 2 more. In the me, Obiakao. So I'm just wondering, to Obiato, maybe a 10 year nase, but Sabra Yatia Sebia see yero. And I'm on 2 someone some. It's saying I some. And not pension bondholders, ne can't be say, young go cry from Puno. Ye fa brebro kwan so ejoso aban na akopem se ne aye hwehwe no wode bema ye be no omo de ye nsane de ato akire emabunu no se enye da bia ne de gidi ubetima aye ye kire ba hu enye gidi se be kwasa no ma ubetima fa sa kwan no so e de ahwehwe apede wo pe me de me fafiri mu se isi ye tenase na ye koma na ye yi boni ahani abe complain
Kwame Sadina, Safuto na papa ne de maye na enya maburu no kwa ne difo abambɔfoɔ no so kaka ho bi
more fire
sɛ a youth and a core Ministry of Finance rom kɔ akɔyɛ saa de we see
more fire
ana police for no bɛka sɛ mu nyina ha also ABS but sɛ mu nyini police for no nyina nte ase na police for no nte ase sɛ ɛnyɛ basabasa yɛ no mba bɛba ɛba bɛyɛ omu nkuta hwee enti no you see demonstration cause police for mu nyina so omu ka ho bi cause ye kɔ fa asɛm ama Ghana afo atie no ye ka ho but ye kɔ ani yakɔ na mo ba ye de ba ye refi sɛ ye de ye ka ho enti ɛno so kɔma bambɔfo ni bi so mu so no ɛdom ne magu akɔma saa basabasa ye ni nyina no ebe free ye kyerem ama botaye amanfo de ye kyerɛ no ɛso abamfa so ama o my Ghana
all right ha ne ye tonton sansan no be se abusuafo nche bia ye de nkɔma ahodo no ɛbɛbrɛ mo dwabo ase ne power 97.9